Lenny! Hello! This is the final video for our new series, Press Start, this week at least, and we'll of course do more video games as time goes on, but for now, for our open world series, this is the last one, and as you've seen in that introduction and thumbnail, we are doing Red Dead 2. With me as always is John, and question, did you play the first one?
Yes, I
Before
did.
this one?
Before this one. Did you?
I did.
Okay.
I was kind of put off because they're like, oh, it's just GTA with cowboys. No, it's not. It's kind of deeper.
It is way deeper because for sure, a lot of the audiences who plays GTA nowadays probably just grew up with GTA 4 and GTA 5. When it came to Red Dead, they kind of went more grounded. It's not satire anymore. Sure, there's a couple of jokes that you hear. Hillbilly this, Texan that.
Yeah.
But it was more grounded. It was
Yeah.
It was there to tell a story instead of make fun of the world. It was there to entice us into this Western movie, pretty much, that we can interact with.
Yeah.
Especially with 2.
Was this your first exposure to what a Western is? Because it was my first.
No, I had Back to the Future 3. Probably not the best introduction to a Western, but that's what I had.
But yeah, I just played that game because I like history, like the same with Assassin's Creed.
Same here. When it came to history in old-aged America, where there's a reason to have a gun, unlike today, it is fascinating. You do see historical events that does happen where, like the Age of the Samurai, as soon as government became in power, this side of the that side of the country started to die off.
Yeah.
Which is what the story was of Red Dead 1.
Yeah, and with the ending, all the GTAs except for 4 had alright, we did it. But with the ending of the first one, we were like, oh my god.
You had no choice.
Yeah.
That's how you were supposed to end it. That's how you're supposed to
sorry if you're spoilers, but for God's sakes, the first one is 10 years old at this point. 12 years, yeah.
More. Yeah. 12
and
years. 13 to 12 years.
With the death of John Marston, the way it's handled, we're and that's the first time I cried because of video game. Because damn.
Dude. Oh yeah, same here. And then we do get Undead Nightmare, which was a really fun DLC.
Yeah. So were you hyped for this game?
Yes, I was. It was because of you and you sending me trailers. Me who just replayed Red Dead 1, and I was like, shit, I can't wait, because when I heard what this world was gonna be like, you see the trailer for it, you see the amount of detail, the balls of the horse shrinking because it's cold. It starts to sag when it's kind of warm. I was like, okay, wow, it's realistic.
And this is the prequel, so you see a younger John Marston, you see Dutch, you see Bill and Javier. You're like, I wonder, an uncle, and you're like, I wonder how you end up the way you are in Red Dead 1, and we get answers to that. But
we do.
The new character is Arthur Morgan.
Which we do hear stories about in early Red Dead 1.
Yeah.
Early on in Red Dead 1, you do hear that Arthur was this amazing guy who kept everybody alive. He was the workhorse. He was the guy that you need to get the job done. And everybody wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for Arthur.
Yeah.
And we all wonder, who the fuck is Arthur? And then we find out who Arthur was.
Yeah.
And it really depended on how you played.
Yeah. But yeah, I was also hyped, and then I couldn't wait to get it. Sorry for that, folks. As Drummer pointed out that I was becoming one with the Shadow Realm at one point. Just fine. But yeah, I made a Facebook post saying goodbye life, goodbye friends, goodbye thesis. Hello Red Dead 2. And
yeah, dude. When we all found out it's releasing, especially on December, was it?
October.
October. I got it on December birthday.
Hmm.
We all knew we're gonna be here for hours.
Yeah.
Probably just role playing, and you could role play this entire world like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You want to be a bounty hunter? Go nuts. You want to live a Western life? Go nuts.
You were inspired by Mando? Go nuts.
Yeah. Which is the bounty hunter.
But we won't spend hours on this one, so we'll make this bite-sized. But yeah, getting into it, you're off the consequences of again, like GTA 5, a heist gone wrong, everybody's miserable. You're reintroduced to Dutch, but depending on if this is your first Red Dead, you meet Dutch, but if you played Red Dead 1, you're like, oh god, that's Dutch. Okay.
There's the bastard that shot off a cliff.
Yeah. No, he commits suicide. You don't shoot him off.
Oh, right.
It's
been a long time.
That's fine. But yeah, you go to one house where you meet Mike along the way, and you've tried to find shelter in this house, but it's uninhabitable because there are already people here, and you don't want more trouble to come for you because the law is already after you. But yeah, this is where you meet Sadie Adler, and you're like, I wonder if this is going to be a damsel in distress this entire game. Well, seems backwards for 2018. No. Later on, you're like, Sadie is one of my favorite characters, no doubt.
Sure, she starts out as a damsel in distress, but she does develop into a very strong female character. So I was like, and almost love interest. I was too hard.
And you find out that the O'Driscolls killed her husband. You go back, and then next day, you and Javier rescue John Marston, who has this iconic scars from the wolf. And you're like, hey, it's John Marston. I haven't seen you since. You also learn to hunt from Charles. And are you the best at hunting?
I was okay at it. Like, I could never get like the. Oh, you have to hit the specific part of like the deer, so you don't ruin the hide.
Yeah.
Nah, like buckshot everywhere.
I usually hit the like an artery, so I make it suffer first. You're like, I'm so sorry. Stab.
Yeah, I do like it though, where it is kind of realistic.
Yeah.
I do not. I'm not an advocate for like hunting, and I say that's the old age. We finally have like modern age food.
Yeah.
But it is very realistic and kind of fascinating how you could shoot a deer in a vital area, it'll run off, and then as you track it, it just dies.
Yeah.
I was like, that's realistic. I don't know about you just grabbing by the tail and just ripping it apart. I'm like, okay.
But you do raid like a warehouse, a supply house of O'Driscolls, and then after that, you see one more. And you capture him, you learn his name is Kieran, and you're like, I wonder how long he'll last. But
I like Kieran.
By the end, you're like, I wish he lasted longer. But yeah.
Dude, a lot of these characters I wish lasted longer.
Same here. But yeah, you capture him and you find out that there's a train that the O'Driscolls were planning to rob, so you're like, we'll get to jump ahead. And so you do, and that helps you get out. And that's where you get your first introductory to like how the heists go down, how painstakingly you like get every bit of dollar. You're like, all right, I like role playing.
Yeah, and if this is your first time playing and this is your first hand information into Red Dead, don't put anything into the box. Keep the money. Seriously, the village wouldn't matter. Or like whatever, the camp doesn't matter. The camp box.
But
don't put anything.
They're starving. What about Jack?
Shut up. Jack is in the first game. He's fine.
But yeah, you're off and you look to the distance and you see Native Americans just watching you. And you're like, I wonder if they're gonna play a role in this. They certainly do.
And I do love hand-to-hand combat and knife play in this game.
Yeah.
It does feel very visceral.
Yeah.
Like you tackle a guy and then you just
Stab
shove
him.
shove a big piece of metal
Yeah.
into his stomach, and he just dies.
Like-
I was like, I feel like Wolverine. I felt like Wolverine. I just holstered my gun and just started sprinting at people.
Every time I had to intimidate a witness, I was always like, "Do you know why I like knives over guns? Knives, you can feel everything."
Do you know how I intimidate a witness? I hog tie his friend. Well, I hog tie him. I hog tie his friend. Maybe one or two.
Yeah.
Put them in a group and like, oh, okay, we got questions for you. Click, bang. Where is the O'Driscolls? Oh, you ain't answering. Click, bang. Roleplay does not work, but it's fun.
It is. But yeah, you settle in your first camp, and you're like, I wonder if I'll live here forever. No, you don't. But you hear, if you're Filipino, you hear Uncle be like, why are we in the goddamn Philippines? You're
Why are you in the goddamn Philippines? Like, Uncle's like, wait, where are we at the goddamn Philippines? Where is the goddamn Philippines?
yeah, you're like, yeah, do have a point. Better not talk shit though, or else I'm gonna make that lumbago real. And you get your first town, which is, not Strawberry,
Valentine.
Valentine. The
Yeah.
poor town who always suffers in my hands, but yeah. You
Like, bastard.
you scout the place and you learn that there's a bank, and you also learn that Tilly Jackson has a past. You're like, again, I wonder if that's gonna play in later. Save Karen from an asshole who's beating her. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh, yeah, where, like, you do kind of run
Yeah,
prostitutes. Like, you kind of get guys to sleep with them, they get money, they bring it back to camp.
yeah,
You kind of had to be their pimp or bodyguard.
yeah. And then you go hunting with Hosea. You hunt this legendary bear. You're like, I hope I don't become Leonardo DiCaprio.
God hope I'm not Leonardo decapitated.
Yeah, and then you choose whether or not to finish off the bear or just leave him be, which I did come back for it later. Did you go for it right away?
Well, I killed the bear. I took the pelt. The thing is, I got ambushed right after. As soon as I get ambushed, the pelt's gone.
Yeah, that's the
I'm like,
point where it's like, all that work.
oh, that
for
trauma.
nothing. And like, before we move on, also you get your first horse and you get to name your first horse. Mine was Thor. Yeah. I know I'm boring. Sorry. What's your first horse name?
I named it after. I gave it a name that I wanted to give my future daughter. Oh boy!
Oh
I can't
no!
take it. I can't take it.
And then I changed the horse's name from Thor to Clark because I'm a big Superman fan. If you guys didn't
But
know,
you do. Which horse did you choose?
the most expensive one. Like,
I chose the cheapest. I bred that horse. Like, I boosted up its stamina. I boosted everything. I loved that thing. I brushed it when it was dirty.
yeah.
I fed it when it was hungry.
Oh no! That was second horse. First horse, you don't really get a choice. It's just this horse, and that's it, for now. But yeah, Clark was a wimp.
Sorry, for me, I
Never traded.
I never traded my horse.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't give a fuck if I was in a battlefield with other horses. I was like, no, where's mine?
Yeah.
Especially with my hats. Like, every time I would drop it, I would like try my best to look for it.
Yeah. And like, I wanted to trade mine off, but like, I got attached to Clark, so I'm like, no, Clark's the bestest boy. But yeah. You also do some shenanigans with Hosea. You rob a house, and you learn in Valentine how to make suntukan with a big boy.
Ah, yeah. You those are like first hand into like fist fighting.
Yeah.
And
The guy
I
who
love-
stops you though is Thomas Downs.
Who's that?
Stevie.
Hmm?
The guy who was Stevie.
Oh, that bastard. But yeah, so like, I do like it that Hosea and God, what was his name again?
Hmm?
I had a fucking bland guy.
Dutch.
Dutch. Jose and Dutch are pretty much your father and mother.
Yeah.
Hosea being your mom.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Hosea is the con artist who likes to, take things quietly with, with flair and suavity, kind of like, he's a showman, which I really like. The Dutch is the guy who's like, I got a plan, brute force.
Yeah. And then he also, another system he learns that Strauss lends money to people, and then you have to take that money back, and then the first guy you interrogate or intimidate is this poor Polish guy. You're like, where's my money? He's like, no English.
Oh, English. But yeah, you should have just let Strauss take it.
Yeah.
But Strauss is the first ever loan shark, I guess, in this world.
I guess.
I'm kidding. For sure, loan sharks have existed hundreds of whatever years. But yeah.
It is also the first time you're like, I think Michael's a bastard. Because Lenny is like, Michael just shot up a town and I was almost lynched. And not just like, oh, my poor boy. Arthur, you have to save him. Others will be hanging. Arthur's like, doesn't sound too bad.
You know what? Yeah, Micah is a piece of shit, though.
Yeah.
But we do get a cool scene where we kind of go into the mountains.
Yeah.
And you stick dynamite into his cell, and then you had to blow a hole in
He
his...
massacres the town. You're like, Micah is a bastard.
Oh, yeah. Like, he got his two favorite, pistols and just went to town. The town.
Yeah. Oh, but how could you? Before that, we have a drink with Lenny.
Ah, yeah. The famed Lenny.
Dude, the sequence is so funny.
And no, I've been drunk before. I was gonna say, I was like, that's my first introduction to being drunk. No.
If you said that, I'd be like, really, Choma?
No. Yeah, I'm lying.
I like people are picking on Lenny and Arthur's thoughts and like, who are you talking to? No one. Talking to no one. And then they do the can together. Like, I love the sequence. But yeah, after that, you rescue Micah, and Micah's like, I'll give you another holster. And I had to make. I can't just go back to camp. Papa's mad at me, so I'll do other work. I'll do another heist, and maybe Dutch will forgive me afterwards. Also, you rescue Sean, and Sean ends up being like your annoying little brother, but you love him anyway. You're like, I like Sean.
He's a Scottish guy, right? Or Irish?
Irish.
Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get a feel for the rest of the people. Like, you really like Charles. I really like Charles by the end. He's the Native American of the group. Though, when there's one side mission where you're supposed to hunt bison, but he sees hunters overhunting, and then he gets to the camp and just brutalizes the hunters. You're like, hopefully I never get into a fist fight with you.
It's very much Connor Kenway.
Yeah.
200 years later, or 100 years later.
100 years later, yeah. And then, at one point, John has an idea to like rip off some sheep herders, but then they rip you off back. And then you're in town with Dutch, and Arthur's just like, you wouldn't believe what just happened, but they're interrupted by Leviticus Cornwall, because the train you robbed at the beginning is his. And he's like, Mr. Vandalin, I'm here to get rid of my problem, and my problem is you.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then that's when you're all like, I think we better go out of town. Also because early on, Arthur and Jack are fishing. That's where you meet Agent Milton and Agent Ross, and you're like,
The Pinkertons.
yeah. You're like, you fucking bastard. I shot you. Years
Piece
later.
of shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you one day.
Yeah. And he's like, enjoy your fishing, boy. Enjoy that bullet in your head, you fucking... But yeah, you move, and this is really the rhythm where one of you or Dutch fucks up, and then you move.
Yeah, one of you fucks up, Dutch, we gotta move. Oh,
Yeah.
one of us fucks up, Dutch, we gotta move.
And then it becomes, hey Dutch, you're the one fucking up.
We gotta move.
Yeah.
The next place you move to is like in the swamp area.
Or like
this
a cleaner version of the swamp first. A cleaner version of the swamp, and then later on you go deeper into it.
Oh yeah, into Saint Denis.
Yeah, Saint-Denis. And this is where you interact with the Greys and Braithwaites, and again, this is where you're like, Dutch really is a shitbag, because he's just manipulating them to find their gold. But before everything has to shit, you do have some sweet highs. You do rob a train with John and Charles and Sean, and this is where you get reintroduced or introduced to Deadeye, which is my favorite mechanic of this game.
I couldn't get it to work properly. Like, I couldn't get the mechanic all that well when it came to like the draw.
Yeah.
Like when you have like a, what do you call it?
Hmm.
The shootout shit, like where you have to ready your hand on your gun, and then you fire from the hip. Anyway, I couldn't get that right, so I'm like, okay, just rapid fire it. I don't care.
Also, when they're robbing the train, I don't know if you've heard of the Western, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Rob Ford, but when
the ones where they had bags over their heads and then
when the train hits the camera, that is a recreation of a Roger Deakins shot. And the moment I saw that, I'm like, I know what you're referencing, and holy shit. Also, we go back to Valentine to rob a bank with Karen and Bill, and then before you leave the camp, Strauss is like, "Oh, Mr. Morgan, please go back to Mrs. Dow's or Mr. Dow's, which you first beat the shit out of for money, and then he tells you to go back from. But unbeknownst to all of us, Mr. Down said DB, and when Arthur punched him, he goes back and lands in his mouth. You're like, I hope that's not infectious. But yeah, he goes back because he's dead. He just wants the money, and the wife is like, we have nothing. You took everything for us. He's like, do we look like a charity case? Give us the money. And they have to give you the money. And then later down the line, you're like, oh my, I feel bad. What happens to you next?
Yeah, we'll get to it because it is a side story.
Yeah.
This is what I loved about Red Dead Redemption 2 is that a lot of the story, the main story is great. But the side missions are your main stories of their own.
Yeah.
you take a journey and then it gets deeper and deeper. You could totally feel that the world is alive at this point.
The only
and I love it.
Side quest I never did, I still haven't done, was the incest clan, because that just feels so gross. You're like,
I did horrible things to those people. Cause fuck them.
Yeah. Also, at one point, you come back to the camp and...
Oh, wait, incest camp.
Yeah.
The ones with the inbreds?
Yeah.
You never went there?
No.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about them. I was talking about that two couple cannibals, sorry. I don't know either one.
Yeah, I'm talking about the inbreds.
Oh, okay. No, they were fine. They were good people. They were minding their own business.
And like, you again, build strong relations with the gang. You rob a house with Sean and Javier separately. You also go fishing with Dutch and Jose at one point, and you're like, alright, the boys are back. And you go fishing with Kieran. You're like, I like you.
Yeah, Kieran is like, actually everybody. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody you get close to, even though if they're not part of your group, you just spend a little bit of time with them, you get a little bit of dialogue.
Yeah.
You start to get connected to him or her. And it's a nice, change of pace.
Yeah.
From just, oh, do this one mission, do that other mission. That person's supposed to mean something to you.
Yeah, you also learned that at one point, John just abandoned Jack and Abigail. That's why Abigail's very mistrusting of him, for good reason. And if you want to insult everybody in the camp, you can. But either John or Bill just says, shut the fuck up. And just
they would knock you the fuck out.
Like Arthur says something to Jack, is like, your mom's been with everybody all around. And Jack's just like, okay, all around, Jack. What does that mean?
To a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I took this game too seriously. Like, I would take a bath every day, change my clothes, like change it up. I never stuck to one clothes.
Yeah.
I would shave my beard, leave the mustache, have a haircut once in a while,
Yeah,
I get my guy groomed.
because if you don't miss Grimstone, she's like, take a fucking bath, you fucking pig.
Yeah, I never got that commentary because I kind of lived a life in
As a
this.
fine gentleman.
Yeah, as a fine gentleman.
And also, from letters, you find out that Arthur has a former love interest in Valentine, and you can either, when she asks, like, hey, my brother's part of a cult, can you help? You can either be like, of course, madam. Or you can be like, no.
Nope. Of course, I was a gentleman. And you kind of see like their spark was, flying again, but
Yeah.
since this story is not really part of the main story, at the end of their journey, he does have to say goodbye to her.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there is something there, but it's not meant to be. Like,
Yeah.
wrong place, wrong time. She is the one, but right now, now's not that time.
Yeah. Maybe when we're not wanted. And
Or have TV.
And Dutch's grand plan is to make enough money so we can go to Tahiti, so we can end up being mango farmers. And that's the whole thing, like, plan, money, Tahiti, plan, money, Tahiti. You're like, does Tahiti even exist? It does.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Also, I forgot the name of the chef, but at one point he's telling Mrs. Ada, like, women have no business other than to cook, and you're like, yeah, it is the Old West, but fuck you. But Mrs. Ada's like, no, I can hunt, I can shoot. And you're like, I think she's telling the truth. And then on your way back from camp, because you had to do, I guess, grocery shopping, they were ambushed by the Lemon Raiders, who were like the Confederacy. That's
Yeah,
remains.
the Le Mans Raiders. Ooh, I did horrible things to those people.
So
but yeah,
Sadie,
there's
she shoots the shit out of him, like, you can handle herself, Jesus.
Yeah, I like that about Arthur. Arthur is not really a face value kind of person.
Yeah.
Like, no, if you have to gain his trust, you have
Yeah.
to do something to make him like, okay,
Yeah.
I understand you. And as once you prove that you are this person that you said to be, he believes it. Will
Yeah.
not deny it. The man isn't sexist or racist or anything like that.
Though, when he's going to the Lemoyne mansion, he's like, I never noticed people are so like this to Lenny. And then he's like, of course you wouldn't. You would never know. You're like, oh. And that's
Yeah.
your first time. That's where you get my favorite weapon, the bolt action rifle. Because it's such a heavy. No? What's your one?
Oh, wait, is that the sniper one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, mine was the lever action shotgun.
Mmm.
The one from Terminator. You know, like that was fun because you
Nice.
have 8 rounds of rapid fire.
And then the missions to collect money get more ridiculous because there's one guy's like, I have the money, but you had to kill the white cougar. Like, you killed the white cougar in a cave with barely any light.
I never killed it because once it had killed me, I never found it again. Well, I didn't want to try. At the same time, it was just too hard to find.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, by the way, for all the pistols I had, I never bought them. I only customized one pistol, and that was like my personalized pistol. All the rest of the pistols were all from the legendary gunslingers.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I got those pistols from them. I just kept
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Mine was always the Schofields, and then like every time they would offer me like, hey, this is semi-automatic. I'm like, I'm not playing a Western to feel like GTA. I'm playing this to have a revolver.
Oh, yeah. Like when they give me the 1911 or the Mauser,
Yeah.
I'll be like, these are for desperate times.
Yeah.
Like if I run out of bullets for my gunslinging gun, sure.
Yeah. And then before we move on to the plot, like the way they do so much detail with nature, like at one point I saw a cougar pounce on a deer the same way you would see it like on National Geographic. We're like, Jesus Christ, the amount of detail.
This game did so much of like little detail that you don't notice, but it'll make you go, ah, cool.
Yeah.
And that gives like sure the reaction of cool isn't a lot,
Yeah.
but it is a lot for our immersion, and it makes the game stick in our heads. Because we do get like fun adventures. We'll go through the story, but there are way more stories of like side quests.
Yeah, yeah.
like us finding the inbred girl inside of like a stall, like the
Braithwaite.
outhouse. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was in the
That's such a
outhouse.
jump scare. I'm like, what was this? Blah, ah!
I shot her out of mercy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, if you do come back to it, she does like all that
No.
stuff is a skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have done, but I just left and panicked. Like, what the fuck is that? Then I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
if you shoot her, you get like negative like hero points.
ah.
Which I was like, what? She's chained up. You want to just leave her like that? Okay, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, and again, how nature interacts. You're just like, I'm a big nature fan, so I'm like, oh, this is pretty. And the game is pretty. Like, sometimes when I'm climbing outside of the mountain, or like I find a perfect cliff space, I just stand and look, smoke a cigar, maybe drink some alcohol. That's fine. That's all fun.
Yeah, you camp.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to the plot, you just fuck with the Greys and Braithwaites. Like, you steal the horses of the Braithwaites, you set their farms on fire, you steal money from the Greys, you fuck with them because you're like, of course we side with you. But of course, they're much smarter than Dutch gives them credit for.
Yeah, no, they are a slave.
Hmm?
Like, they're pieces of shits.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't mind doing these to you guys.
Just
Why?
sad because every time I would ride in the field of like corn, I would hear pong, like, oh god, I killed someone.
I'm so sorry. Right? Because you're in a rush.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get to
Yeah.
the destination. And you just ride through the cornfield and you just hear. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Because you know it's a slave. I'm like, I feel horrible.
Yeah, and before we get to the part where emotions go, like, some people say that this game is boring, and I can see why, because you're just riding for hours. Literally, from Valentine, I clocked it once, like, from Valentine to Mexico, you're like, that is almost an hour of just, if you ride slow, that's literally like an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I don't fucking care. I am in this world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live through this world.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna enjoy every second of it. Because now I could just take it slow. You don't need to breeze through the game like it's nothing.
Yeah.
You could roleplay. You could be a bounty hunter on the side, just camping at and like you interrogate people and shit. You ask people questions. Of course, roleplaying, and that's not really a feature. You could deal with your bounties however you wish. You could drown them for a bit just to intimidate them and then send them off to jail.
Yeah. But yeah. The Greys catch on, and at one point, Bell's like, hey, we have to meet in town. And Arthur pointed it out, like, we're in the middle of some ancient feud, but instead of playing both sides, we are being played by them. And then at one point, Arthur just stops, like, because you're in rows and it's just empty, and he's like, something don't feel right. And then Sean goes, oh, something doesn't feel right. Bang! And that from that moment on, your emotions go. You're like, I hate it.
Because it was such a like an uplifting start of the game where yes, we are a family. Yes, we're getting these characters together. We all know each other. We work well with each other. And then your friends start dying off.
Yeah.
One by one.
And with Sean, it's not like he was shot in the gut and it's a slow death. No, it's you're like, I didn't even what?
Right?
And you're in the middle of a shootout, you're like, I can't even fuck.
Right? And there are points in this game where Sean will try to talk to you and like, hey, you want to do this mission with me?
Yeah.
And it's more character development with Sean.
Yeah.
And if you say no because you have to do another mission and you're doing it in a rush,
Yeah.
you will miss that opportunity and it's gone.
Yeah, there are missions that you can never come back to, which I like because it's the passage of time.
Yeah, it is weight on like the situation where when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
You could have hung out with them a little bit longer. You could have done things with them more.
Yeah.
Then when in the story, when they go, they're gone.
Yeah.
You can never do it again. I'm like, shit.
You kill all the Greys, and then you go right back to camp, and then you hear from Abigail that the Braithwaites have stolen Jack. And dude, it's the sickest mission, because you all ride out and force Lenny, Dutch, Bill, Hosea Javier, you, all
John.
ride up, John, ride up, and just slow walk into the manor, and they're just like, whatever you think we did, that is a boy. That's not the way we do things. And they're like, if you want to do this, let's do this. And they're just like, all right, bang.
And like, you gotta love how you have a breach and clear moment.
Yeah.
You're like, you stay at the window side,
Yeah.
and I think John and Hosea are gonna come through the door.
Yeah.
And then you burst in, and you just take care of everybody who's in the room and save Jack.
And the slow motion happens. You're like, this is so sick.
Yeah, and you kill all the brothers, all the sons of this crazy racist old lady.
Yeah, Madam Braithwaite. And then at one point, there's one guy who's barely alive, and she's like, have you killed my sons? And they're just like, not all of them. Bang!
No. And then she was like, oh, I'm going back. Because it's her house.
Yeah.
And the building burns on top of her.
You go back for them. You see her body, and you can get some of her gold.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A little bit of profit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you go back, you see her burnt body.
Yeah.
Which is very satisfying.
Yeah, yeah. But before that, she says, we sold Jack to Angelo Bronte, who's in Saint Denis. And that's why they move. Also because Agent Milton's on the trail, and I do like the move where they're just like, alright, you want me? Take me. I dare you. And then you just see
all the gang surrounding. They all like reach for their guns. I'm like, ooh.
And then you move deeper into the swamp, but you have to get rid of the remaining Confederate soldiers, and they're just their leaders. Like, back in my day, everything was peaceful until you Yankees showed up, and now everything's gone. Bang! But I shot him before that. Like, just shut the fuck up.
Oh, same here. Same here. He was like ready to come in. I'm like, nah. That's my job.
Yeah.
I also did the same thing.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
You go to Angelo Bronte's house, and the guy's like, oh, you're dirty, you're not meant to be here. And Dutcher just grabs him, points the gun, it's like, go get your master, boy. I'm like, oh fuck, this is pretty sick.
I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That was cold.
And then you get Jack back, and it's cute because before that you had to raid a grave, and then you get Jack back, and then he's like telling his experience of like, he fed me spaghetti and he gave me slippers, and John's just like, I can't give you comforts like that. Fuck.
Damn it. Got them Crocs. Fuck.
And then this is why I really like the game, because usually after this you just, alright, it's the next day, but no, the gang celebrates.
Yeah, it slows down.
Yeah.
Like, there is downtime where they do party, it does feel human.
Yeah.
This group of people do feel like a group of people.
Yeah.
A community, and it's nice to experience it in the game. Because a lot of times, off to the next mission, because of course the player wants to shoot things.
Yeah.
You are living somebody's life and they're telling their story.
Yeah.
That's why the ending of the story has so much more impact. Instead of it being, just cut and dry, shoot things, and get on with it.
Yeah. I also like how they show that Angelo Bronte is the precursor to what of like modern crime families later on in centuries to come, or like years to come.
like the mafia.
Yeah. You do favors for him, like you steal documents from the mayor's house. Also in that house, in that party, you dress fancy, you meet eagle flies, and forget the captain's name. There's one guy supporting the Native Americans.
Within that mission, knowing my character, he had a good mustache, his haircut was nice. I had a suit. I had a fucking suit.
Yeah.
And then I go up to them and was like, really, you're gonna come in dressed like that? Excuse me?
Excuse me, bitch.
I bought this from your store.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Anyway, it's just to move the story along.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you. I worked hard.
Also, right after that, there's a mission where you can rob like a high stakes casino place, and you're like, I don't know how to do poker.
Yeah, I don't know how to gamble either. So I was like,
But Strauss is there to be like, that's the right move.
yeah, and then you're just like, all in?
And you rob the place and it goes well too. But also you help, later on you help Eagle Flies steal documents because the government's trying to get their land. And they're like, oh, you do play a part. I'm afraid because this might end in tragedy. Later on you're like, I hate my god so much. But yeah, I like the colonel. I forget his name, but he is sympathetic to the Native Americans because you're like, I like the fact they're showing like, no, not everybody was a bastard towards Native Americans.
Yeah.
There's also fun side missions where there's this painter making lewd paintings and the people are like, oh my, that's a picture of my mama. How dare you, sir?
Yeah. You gotta love how people were kind of derived of like this kind of media that we're all used to now.
Yeah.
Of course, your son probably watches porn right now. Who knows? But back in the day, that's like a rare commodity.
Yeah.
Well, if you wanted to see a titty, you kind of had to be persuasive or had a lot of money.
Right? And then there's also an electric chair one where like, yeah, this century's not ready for that. And this is where you say goodbye to Mary, who is Arthur's former love interest. Because he's like, this life is not meant for you. I'm not ready for you. You deserve better. Maybe one day we'll be together. And you're like, but you're not in the first game.
Right? And you see like a photo of them when they were younger
Yeah.
and married. I'm like, ah!
And then the game breaks your heart for more details further on. You're like,
And then, are we getting to the part?
no, wait. Before that, Angela Bronte lies to them because they're like, you can find lots of money in this train station, and you, Lenny, and Dutch are foiled, and you have to make this epic escape where you're riding the trams, and the Arthur's like, is this part of your plan? And Dutch's like, is this part of your plan? Fuck you.
Because every time Dutch is like, I got a goddamn plan,
Yeah.
just stick to the goddamn plan. I'm like, shut up.
And then to get back, they have to do a mission which gave me such anxiety because you're like, how do you find a back way into Angelo Bronte? There's a guy that is willing to guide you, but first you have to find his crewmate who got lost in the swamp, and you're in waist-high alligator-infested waters. You're like, I fucking hate it. I fucking hate this.
Was that the one with the white gator?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I hated that shit
Oh my
so
God.
fucking much because it wouldn't fucking die.
Right? It's worse because after that mission, there's a side mission with the chef. And there's a mission where you have to steal alligator eggs. You're like, I hate this game. Why are the alligators so realistic? But yeah, with all their troubles, Arthur and Dutch have a conversation on top of the balcony. Dutch notices that, hey, there's movement in the trees, and you find out Kieran was kidnapped by the O'Driscolls. And yeah, Kieran is no longer with us.
Alright, they fucking shoot him.
Or no, they
Oh, no, they
decapitated him.
decapitated him.
Yeah.
Fuck! He got Leonardo decapitated.
And you're like, but I like Kieran. But after that, they kill Angelo Bronte. They sneak into his house, kidnap him, and then Dutch drowns him and then feeds him to an alligator. And John's just like, what part of your books includes feeding a guy to a goddamn alligator? Like, damn right.
Yeah, you could see that like Dutch is starting to get unhinged
Yeah.
at this point because he is so desperate to get these people out, or pretty much get a profit. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
wants to get out of America and go to Tahiti.
Yeah. And like, you carry on with the big heist anyway, and it goes horribly wrong because at one point John is captured and you have to hide out, and you're running through the roofs, and then at one point Lenny leads the way, and then Lenny is shot. You're like, why?
He didn't just instantly die, right? We had to leave him.
No, he was instantly dead from a shotgun.
Oh,
blast.
okay. I remember somebody who got shot and we couldn't go back for him.
I'm forgetting who.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lenny dies right away, and you have to leave his body on the roof. And sorry, at the beginning, when it goes wrong, Hosea is killed by Agent Milton.
Hey! Okay, look, in this review, it doesn't really put much weight, but again, you hang out with these people, you get close to them. Hosea is the mom.
Yeah.
And when he died, I was like, fuck, and I'm stuck with Dutch, and I know he survives.
Yeah. Just the way they handle both that, you're like, oh my god, how is this game going to end? And then you sneak up on her ship, and Dutch is able to bribe the captain, but because of a storm, you're stranded on, I guess, Cuba.
I'm guessing Cuba.
Yeah. And then from there, you do some shenanigans where you help the locals start a rebellion, but at the same time, Micah's getting more ass kissy, and Dutch is becoming more unhinged because he kills that old woman. You're like,
Yeah, and Arthur is starting to become more TV.
yeah, he keeps coughing. You're like, when did you have this? All right.
Right? Like, how's it going, Black Lung? Like, you know, Micah keeps saying Black Lung. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. I don't have TV.
And then you do kill the leader of the military, which helps you escape. And then you make it back, and you're supposed to meet with Sadie in Saint Denis to rescue John, but Arthur starts coughing very badly, starts coughing up blood, goes to a doctor, and the doctor's like, I'm so sorry, you have tuberculosis. And you're like,
Yeah.
so my time with Arthur's limited.
Right. And I was like, oh, no. Stop. Like, I mean, he already looked like he was dying.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, it's terminal.
Yeah.
You can't go back from this. And like, and that to a player standpoint, now you have the like, you wanna make the best of this.
Yeah.
Like, you want this man to go out like a good man. So you go to side quests, correcting your wrongs, doing all the like the load shark shit, like giving back the money, especially to what was the name again of
Mrs. Dow's.
Mrs. Dow's, where you find out that her son is working in the coal mine, pretty much getting lung cancer as a daily job,
Yeah.
and her selling her own body to whatever miner is willing to pay. So it was horrible for their story, and then like, hate me or love me, either one.
You
Just
give all
take
your
the
money.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually even more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, yeah, you gave back their money and then more.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just take it, because I don't want it anymore, because he has no use for it.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
but
God.
the mission where you have the hot air balloon scouting the person, and then the poor guy
Yeah.
has no idea that you're a gang member, and then you're helping Sadie get rid of the O'Driscolls, and then he gets shot. You're like, I'm so sorry, buddy. It's just so funny because he's like, oh my, contracts, pong. Like, sorry, man.
Casualty, so
Also, the guard that Arthur has hostage, and when you're rescuing John, he's like, "Can't you see poor queer guard is crying? Just give us John." And he's like, "Please let me free."
how did you get that scene with the nun?
Before we get to that, I should say that the third act is them, Dutch really being a douchebag because he's playing off Eaglefly's emotions. Like, of course, we'll help you get your land back, but really, he's just trying to fuck with Uncle Sam and get money. And you're like, you're just using this guy's mission, his mission to save his people, towards your own advantage. You fucking asshole.
Yeah, and how did it end for Eagles Flies? It was that oil rig, right?
Yeah, you had this epic oil rig mission, and he gets shot, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, nothing's going right, even though Arthur's trying his goddamn best
Yeah,
to right his wrongs. And like, he is on a journey. He's a dead man on a journey. Like,
Yeah.
he's just getting words of wisdom from these people. And yeah, it kind of sucks because he's like trying to accept it, but at the same time he's like, best way to just go at it is just do it my own.
before the game broke my heart, and that scene, like, it broke my heart twice because at one point you're riding with Rains Falls across the mountains, and Arthur tells the story of like, I had a kid once, I had a family, and it was perfect. But she knew what I was, and we knew this reality. One day I got back, and I saw 2 tombstones, and I knew what happened. We were like, fuck me.
And
then
again, like storytelling, they didn't even need to show that backstory.
yeah.
Him just telling it already has the weight on it. Well, this guy has been through hell and back.
Yeah. And then you rescue the soldier who's going to be hung because he's sympathetic to the Native Americans, because they're going to frame him like, oh, he's a traitor. You rescue him, and that's where we get the nun scene where he's like, I have TB and I don't know how to handle this because I guess I'm just afraid. And you see his face, you're like, fuck.
God damn it! Like, and everybody knows. Like, he started telling majority of the camp, like, I have TV, and I'm not coming back from this. Whatever we're gonna finish here, I'm not gonna be there to celebrate with you.
You do one, if you can do one last mission for Strauss where this guy is ripping off a coal miner family. They like, we have no money. We're already ripped off. And you go back to camp after you give them money. And you're like, come here. Get the fuck out. You're like, damn right.
Yeah, take your shit. Never fucking come back. And this is the part where your camp is a cave.
Yeah.
It was a cannibal's cave.
Yeah. And this is where, I forgot to mention early on in the game, Arthur is kidnapped by Colm O'Driscoll. And from that point on, you're like, of course, Colm is the bad guy, the main bad guy. No, by the time you get to Colm's hanging, you don't care. You're like, who's going to die? All right, you. Who are you?
God damn it.
Because you're like, all right, I forgot. He's Dutch's main bad guy, but Dutch has become a complete monster. He doesn't really matter in the story no more.
Right. Like, we forgot, like, we're just so caught up with trying to correct our wrongs, trying to go through life that we forgot, like, oh, fuck, right, Tahiti.
And you're like, But yeah, and at one point he helped Sadie get her final revenge against the O'Driscolls, and she's like, I wasn't always like this. I was a wife, we had a good life, and now I'm a monster. And Arthur's like, no, you're not. You're not a monster. You're the best among us, one of the best among us. And yeah, stay that way. Also, another conversation he has with John is that John's like, I don't know Dutch anymore. It's like we're changing. Arthur's like, you better, when the time comes, you have to run away and never look back. And yeah, things are changing, but it weren't us who changed. You're like,
yeah. And then, oh god.
Then you get that big epic oil rescue mission where you think you're going to rescue Eagle Flies. It starts out epic enough because Dutch is riding with Micah and the other ass kissers, but Arthur's like, alright, who's with me? And it's Sadie, John, Charles, and Eagle Fly's friend. And he's like, ride with me. And you rescue Eagle Flies, but since Dutch leaves your ass, Eagle Flies takes a bullet for you. You're like, I hate this game.
All my friends are dying. All the right friends.
And dude, his death scene is like, I'm hurt. I'm really hurt.
Is this the part where we get to us crying, like taking a video of ourselves crying?
No,
as
first,
we watch this scene.
There's one last heist with Dutch and the rest of the gang where, like, you see the gang just breaking up because everybody's leaving left and right, and Sadie's like, is this one of her plans? And Mike is like, shut the fuck up. And Bill's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Like, fuck you, you fat fuck, Bill. And like, when the train skips by, Arthur's like, oh, this is your plan. And there's like, is your plan? Fuck you, let's get this train. You get the money, but John is shot off the train. You're like, but you're in the first, yeah, you're in the first game.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
I know, I think that was just, like, now I think that might have been his way to run away, right?
No, because he meets up with you later on when he's like, you left me.
Oh, right. I haven't played this game in 3 years, so...
Yeah, we're all relying on memory. And then you ride back to camp, and then Abigail's like... Or sorry, Tilly's like, they took Abigail and Sadie... Or sorry, Abigail and another member, I forgot who. No, it was Sadie. And you're like, we can't have that, sorry. So you have the sniper mission where you're just taking out half of the Pinkerton army.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you try to rescue Abigail and Sadie, but your strength is waning as Mr. Milton's like, you have TB, don't you? By the way, after your stunt in Cuba, we picked up Micah. He is working for us like a good little boy. You're like, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
Yeah. There was a rat in the group.
Yeah, Abigail saved your ass, and then you're like, you meet back with Tilly Jackson, and you're like, you three have to go your separate ways, because this is over. And then they're begging, like, Arthur, you don't have to do this, and it's like, I have to. Puts on his hat, and then he rides back to camp, and yeah, as you said, this is the part where you and I just lost it going, why?
Yeah. Like, it goes into Deadeye vision where it's like orange, but it does it in a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
And there's a part where me and Enzo started like sending videos to each other of us just crying. Like, why? TV, why? And like, oh my god. And it was a long ride.
Yeah.
They didn't cut anything. We
Yeah.
rode all the way to the camp, and we did our final mission with Arthur.
Yeah.
Our like goodbye letter to Arthur, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
You have a standoff because Arthur's like, Micah's a rat. You're gonna really sacrifice everything on his word? All them years, Dutch? And even Miss Grimsaw's like, no, Mr. Bell, you're out of time. And she pulls a shotgun, you're like, alright, Miss Grimshaw! And she gets shot, you're like, okay.
Damn it!
And
Yeah,
then,
Miss Grimshaw was one of the badass ladies as well.
I love when Dutch is like, either you're with me or against me. And when he says that, Bill Javier goes to his side, and it's just John, who, by the way, he's like, you left me again!
Yeah.
And then the Pinkertons come, and you have to run from them and Dutch and Micah, and Dutch has the boss to be like, you betrayed me. You're like, motherfucker, you betrayed me and the gang and everyone you said you cared about.
Again, he lost his mind. And this is the part where the horse dies.
Like, Clark, no.
This fucked me over. Like, I already teared up with the scene of him riding.
Yeah.
And then now the horse is dying and you're cradling its head and you had to, like, put it down. I was like,
thank you for everything. You're like,
I was like, I kept this horse from the start of the gang, goddamn it.
You're running, and Arthur goes, you know what? Don't think I can run no longer. You're like, yes, you can. You can, you'll be fine. Just die off TB in a nice house. No. Gives his hat to John. It's like, it would mean everything to me if you make it out of it. Except, of course, if you choose to rescue John or help John escape, why wouldn't you? Why would you go back for the money? Doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, he says his goodbye to John, and he's like, be a goddamn man, take care of your family. You're like, I will.
And he pretty much has this whole shootout with, like, Micah and the rest of the Pinkertons.
Yeah, and then Michael
And they-
spears him, and you have a fist fight, like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
But you can see, like, Arthur Morgan at death's doorstep already, just coughing up a storm.
At one point, he knocks Arthur down, and you're like, crawl, please, crawl. Dutch steps on the gun, he's like, it is over. It is over now. And he's like, I gave everything to you. And then Micah's convincing, like, come on with me. But Dutch is like, nah, I'll go my separate ways. And depending if you have low honor or high honor. Low honor is that Micah shoots you and the Arthur's like, you fool! Bang!
Yeah.
But high honor is you die on that ridge looking on the sunrise. You're like,
Really bittersweet ending. And yeah, that was a story of Arthur Morgan. Sure, we get another part where it expands on John's story and then him.
Years later, though the
Yeah.
one thing that also got me is when Abby is like, don't let anything happen to you, John, because I love you. Like, yeah, John builds a house, and does bounty hunting, which calms you down from the.
Yeah.
I'm making a nice house.
I'm a badass bounty hunter.
Yeah, but of course we can't just end it there. But I do one last peaceful scene. I want to point out when John proposes to Abigail because it's so sweet. You're like, oh. At the same time, you're like,
Yeah, he dies later on.
yeah. But
Like,
it's a sweet scene where he proposes.
Yeah, the whole group pretty much meet their end.
Yeah,
Whether they go separate ways, becomes a clerk, has a family of their own, or the government gets to them. For Micah, since he survived, John had to like pretty much hunt him down. That was satisfactory.
Charles and Sadie go with you, but Charles is injured, and you're like, you better not kill Charles, I swear to God. And then at one point, when you're confronting Micah, he stabs Sadie. I'm like, game, don't you fucking dare do this, please, please, not Sadie.
Yeah,
But
and they do say a final few words about Arthur.
yeah, you do have a standoff with Dutch, and he shoots Micah, and you get to fuck up his face. You're like, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Bittersweet ending because they get married officially, and you see the aftermath of one of the girls who wanted to be a writer until Tilly Jackson has a life in Saint Denis, and of course, Rain's Fall has to move to Canada. His people's gone. You're like,
Yeah.
this game. But yeah, all these things said, what would you rate this?
This was a 10 out of 10, man. I never had the dull moment, never had anything that frustrated me besides my emotions. Like, the story, sure, it was like, fuck you, story, for giving me this. But at the same time, like, this is Oscar-worthy writing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what the fuck? This would have done well if it was a series or a game or a movie. I would say series or a game. Movie, you need more. You need more than just a movie.
Yeah.
And no other game has made me cry like this game.
Same, which is not why I also give it a 10 out of 10. Like, this is one of the best games, if not the greatest games to come out in like the last 10 years. And this is my favorite game of all time because it's just so beautiful and just so you can get lost in your own mind role playing, and the characters are all great. Arthur, even though this is a prequel, he is one of the greatest characters in video games ever, and like it adds on Dutch and how sophisticated of a villain he is. While Mike is just a piece of shit, Dutch, there's something there to be like, no, he's an interesting villain. But yeah, writing, graphics, all that jazz, which is why it's a 10 out of 10. But yeah, this is our video on Red Dead Redemption 2. What do you guys think? What's your favorite moment? Who's your favorite character or gang member? Please let us know in the comments. If you want to see more of us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. If you want to see us on Facebook, we have a Facebook at facebook.com/geeksanddegenerates. We act trailers, stream video games, and stream about our lives from time to time. We also have a Spotify if you want to hear us on the go or on horseback for some reason. Under the same name, same with TikTok.
I would love that.
Me too. Or if not, just maybe riding Kalesa for hours for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also have a TikTok under the same name to relive our greatest moments. Individually, you can find me at Gandalf95 on IG and Twitter. How about you?
You can find me at JohnGeom_ on Instagram. It is my art account.
And yeah, that's all the time we have for this video at least. We'll see you on the next one, partners. Bye.
Yeah.